But anyway, all right. Let's get this party started. Gotta get my clap in. We got a 187, right?
187.
All right.
Oh, yay.
Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 2, Episode 6. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And today on the Elk Season Podcast,
We have, I totally just dropped in my mind, we have wolves. I can't believe, like you said today, and everything that was in my brain, gone. I went through all the, so some stuff on avian flu.
Okay.
The bird flu. We have wolves, elk herds moving around in the wintertime is a continuing theme. Water, we don't have an official, image or anything to share, but we can talk about, water table
we
here.
We talk about
pretty stable.
Superstorm Olive that is working her way across the United States right now. Is that her name? Is that what they've named it?
I think so.
I think that's what I've heard.
And looking at the snow that's fallen in the Wasatch Front, and knowing what is needed in the Salt Lake to keep that lake from going, salt dry.
We are going to have a new report for you very soon, and we will follow up with the water situation
across the West
in the weeks to come, because we're coming down to the end of it, and it's looking really good. And the storms this week only helped. Only helped.
Yeah.
And it is it's almost March.
Can't believe it.
I know. And this we had a really big snowstorm this week. Yep. Not big. Last night it was an inch or two. It sucked driving this morning, but it's mostly melted now.
Depending on where you had to go, yeah.
Saturday morning, or by Saturday, it's going to be 40, 45 degrees out.
Oh goodness!
And it looks like
I still haven't taken my kids sledding.
Yeah,
I better hurry.
So I
bought them sleds for Christmas.
Oh man!
And we still haven't gone.
There's so much snow in the South Hills. I know we call them hills in the South Hills, but those are big mountains. There's plenty there.
Yeah.
And so there'll be snow for
a couple more weeks.
A few more months, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I'd hope anyway.
So
we and then an update on your diet, on your progress. We are 187 days from elk season.
187,
less than 200 now, and I suppose by about the time we get to 180, that's 6 months, right?
Roughly, yeah. I guess so.
It's really close. So we're getting to the halfway point.
Yeah.
Man, it's almost elk season. And of course, if we have the equinox in March and the equinox in September, then we are about 6 months away.
Yeah.
So get ready.
It's right around the corner.
Get ready. Yesterday I did a bunch of back squats.
Okay.
No, wait, yesterday I was late. No, it was yesterday. Today I'm lazy. I don't work out today. But I did a bunch of back squats. I did I think 7 sets of 5 back squats. The heaviest I went was 215 pounds, but I had to put it on my own back from the ground.
Huh.
I had to lift it up, put it in the front rack position, and then pop it over my head and rest it on my back, and then do 5. And anyways, it was fun. It's just fun. Good work. Don't skip leg day. That's all I want. I'm not trying to recruit everybody to CrossFit, because you can't. Not everybody keep up with me. It's okay.
It happens. That's why I don't even try.
You don't even try. The workouts. There's a new workout that was just posted today for the Open, and it's a 2-parter, and it's but one of them is just a 15-minute slog of burpees, pull-ups, and running. Oh. It's really, really terrible.
I was thinking about you today.
Yeah.
On how you exercise and your motivation. And I think I figured out something that actually came from a student's submission on some of their work. And it's something that I've been teaching for a long time. And they described it for themselves. Like, I asked students to apply a certain aspect of this content from my class to their lives, demonstrate to me that you understand its application. And their example was so spot on. And it even made me go, duh, how did I not even think about it? I've been always so focused on how to get my students to get their connections. I never thought about this connection. And they talked about the application, and I don't want to bore everybody too much here, but in the world of learning, the psychology of learning. So you break down the different ways that we are learning, whether it's through association and anticipation, that's a survival thing, or through reward or punishment. And this had to do with reward and punishment. So he talked about in the world of operant conditioning was what we call it, or consequential learning. He goes, I am not a fan of running. I hate running. Running is I dislike it so much. And I believe it came from those moments in high school when our coaches would punish the team with laps. So I had so much of that I now associate. So it's a classical conditioning. But I associate it with punishment.
Yeah.
And I sat back and I thought, well, first and foremost, you get the point, sir. You nailed the exercise here. But I was like, so it's not that I don't want to go do those things, but there has been programmed in me.
An automatic negative response.
And he goes, unless I'm engaged in the sport, unless I'm playing it on the field or on the basketball court, I'll run there. But to run outside of that, I don't want to, and it's got to be because of that. And I'm like, you're telling me about my whole life. Like, this is just, it really hit home for me. I really appreciated that student submission because I knew that, but it takes hearing it from somebody to really bring it home. And I thought that was really cool. So it's not that I don't want to go to gyms and I don't want to do those things, but it does make sense that a reason why I have a big disdain for it is it always came across as punitive. You're being punished. You have to do this now because of this, or the team didn't win, or you guys, right? And so just
right. Yeah. The mentality of coaches has always fascinated me.
Yeah, and I just think that they should reapproach that.
I agree, and I bet they are. I mean, new generations of coaches are coming up, and if what's great about the farm league of coaches, is that they're in Hanson and Murtaugh and Gooding, and they're practicing new techniques and doing different things, and some of them are real successful, and some of them are going to struggle. But it's a great way to raise the coaches up and say, hey, how do we get kids to perform?
But I wondered, I know you played sports.
Yeah.
But I wondered, and this is why I always said I thought of you. I wondered if that was an experience you had, or if it was because you played sports, but you didn't.
Yeah.
So I wondered if A, you had that experience, and B, if there was even enough time to really have that kind of programming and training to have a disdain. Because you're like the opposite of me when it comes to, you go to the gym, you do all these things, you do these runs, and I'm just like.
I'm starting to think now that I am more autistic than I used to think I was. So I have two kids with autism, two children with diagnosed with autism, and I'm currently going through a neurofeedback program to kind of help reprogram my brain. And I've talked about it before, and I'm really excited about it because they use so much energy. Every week I go in for my session. I have not missed a single session. And every week I go in and I don't feel any different, right?
Yeah.
But I had 2 weeks off because the guy, had needed time off. So I took 1 day off, 1 week off for Thanksgiving, 1 week off for Christmas. And after my, because I would go back for a workout every week for my brain, my brain didn't have time to function in its new state. So because every week I'm going back and he's working it down. So in those weeks that I had off, I did feel different. I felt vastly different. And the idea is so that, these are my words, by the way. When I'm done with the process, I should feel like I'm low dosing Adderall.
Okay.
And the technician agreed. Yes, something to that effect. And who knows? So when I see sports, and we had a dad who didn't wrestle, who didn't play, and I always feel like I wanted to play rough. Okay. I never got a chance to play rough, and so the first time I put football pads on, and I only played for one season, but when I put football pads on, it's like that kid, because I just walked my kid home from school today, and he's got boots on, right, and there's snow, and he's like, my feet are impervious. I can step in anything. And the first time you have football pads on, you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill someone. And you just feel this, and you just feel invincible. No one can hurt me. And you run around this field. And I remember not telling people how good I felt getting hit.
Yeah, you've told me that before.
Oh, have I? Okay.
Yeah.
You're like one of the very few. I don't, because it's different.
Well, I have a son that if he's got an interest in that.
Yeah.
And what you're describing right here makes me think of him.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to do it. I want to feel that. So,
this is me remembering getting hit hard in football. It like relaxes me to think about it.
That's interesting.
It's so
very sensory
weird.
driven.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very sensory driven. But because I didn't fit in with any crowd growing up ever, right? I didn't fit into the cliques they had. I had a couple of friends here, a couple of friends there, but I was never on organized sports.
Sounds like a family thing.
Well, I wasn't on organized sports, and once I'm in football, and the coaches see I'm big, I'm fast. My body is what I call a virgin. I have never played a sport. I've never done a drug. I am active. I am outside all the time. I have a low body fat percentage. I can run for days, and I loved running. But when it's time to get hit, but I always had this like I don't fit in with this group. But once I'm good at football, the guys are like, "Hey, we're having a party this weekend." I'm like, "You're not talking to me, are you?" I mean, it was so weird.
Yeah.
To me, to be like I'm in the in group now.
You know what's funny is I played all the sports because where I went is a small school, but I never got invited to those parties.
Really?
Yeah. I would come to school and I'd hear about them.
Yeah.
But then other things would transpire from those parties, and I would go,
I'm glad they didn't ask me.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I never went. I never went to the parties. But when they asked me, oh yeah, we'll see. Because it was weird. It was like they were setting me up to jump me or something. It was like I just didn't trust them inherently.
Yeah.
Because I seen them play pranks on a lot of the kids. But it wasn't until the end of the football season when I realized, oh, I'm bigger and stronger than all these guys.
Wow.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't have to worry about them anymore. But so my relationship with athletics has been I've always wanted to do more. CrossFit has allowed me to do more.
Yeah.
Really allowed me to do more.
And so there's a lot, I guess, a lot of different factors to take into consideration. Yeah. So I was trying to see about one angle, but you've described a different angle that I wasn't thinking about because I was just thinking about my angle. And my angle was just that I had the capacity to do it, but there were so many things about being involved with sports that were negative to me. Like, why do I have to run more because of a mistake? Why can't I work on improving the mistake? How does that help me with the mistake? I didn't think that back then, but I recognize that's how I felt. I just didn't know how to express it back then. But basketball to me was the worst.
I love the work. I'm like, I hope you get in trouble. You pansies cry every time we have to run, and I'm out in front leading it, going, "What's wrong with you?"
So
that
makes me wonder if we were closer in age, how that would have looked on a team. Because you'd be yelling at me, calling me the pansy.
Yeah, I like the work. I like feeling the impact in my legs and my hips when I run with a long stride. And
I don't like senseless stuff. I like it if it pushes me to the point. I like working to the point of fatigue. But then going beyond that doesn't make any sense to me because my body will condition when I get to the point of fatigue. But to continue fatiguing the body, it seems unnecessary.
Yeah,
because there's everybody has their own point that they'll get to where their body starts to condition that way.
Right.
And that was, I have that instilled in my brain. You work yourself to the point of fatigue. That's when your body will begin to condition, and that's Coach Simons would say all the time.
Yeah,
he passed away last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
and so
did he? That's
but I have several phrases that he instilled because he said them all the time, and that was helpful. But at the same time, I think each person has their own point. Like, it's not going to be effective anymore if you keep pushing it. So you get to a certain point, rest, and come back and push it to that point again.
Yeah,
that's what I teach my students to do with their education.
Right,
push yourself to that point of fatigue, but that's your stress level marker saying, absolutely, take a break.
Yeah.
But so often in sports in high school, particularly, we'd get to that point as a group, and they'd say, "You have to run more now."
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem correct to me to get the best performance, and it was punitive. It's punitive at that point.
I am straight David Goggins at that point. I don't know if you know
for
David
you.
Goggins
I don't, but I'm just going to say good for you.
David Goggins, like hardcore, man. Hardcore. He's a guy who likes to run. He's super active, and he does some motivational stuff. but he runs and he will talk and do motivational
But
speaking while he's running.
But I think the point between both of our perspectives is this. Both are equally correct in their approach. So you have to figure out what is it that you need.
Right.
Because if you need to keep running at that point, keep doing it. But if you need a break, take your break.
Right.
And so I think it's important not to pigeonhole ourselves into, I think I have to be that, or I think I have to be this. I need to be me. Yeah. And I have to kind of, and it's always, what we're trying to figure out for ourselves. So,
and I think a lot of it was, I knew the coach was trying to make us hurt, and I'm never going to give him that chance. Never, 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 never. Oh, you think you can hurt me? Oh man, that was a really big deal. Yeah. Coaches, oh yeah, you want to run laps? Yeah, let's run laps. What you got? Yeah. I ain't slowing down. That you're not going to hurt me. And I maybe that's the mindset I had to have in my survival mode.
Maybe
when I was that age.
So I didn't when I got into sports, I didn't need to have a survival mode. And the only experience I had in sports prior to Idaho was in Montana, but I got both sides of the spectrum. I had coaches that weren't punitive. They did all the same workout routines, and it really was about the attitude that they carried that made me not think about it being punitive. And that's the thing. I could have pushed myself more.
Yes. If it's not punitive, it's not just angry.
Because I was struggling, and I was, I was a tweenie. I had, I'm 12 years old.
Such a tough age,
and I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm the last guy running in, but the coaches are cheering me on in one aspect, and now the whole team is like, "Let's go, let's do this." And I'm like, "Cool, I like this." And then I got traded to the other team because of player issues and stuff. Oh. And those coaches were complete jerks, and they just wanted to yell and scream.
I remember that.
And a week of that, I there's no way. Yeah. I'm done. I'm not going to put up with that. Yeah. So I left, and it was heartbreaking because I didn't want to let you down.
I know. I remember talking about it. But I remember talking to you about it. Do you remember what I said?
No, I don't. I was too young.
I said, I'm not there. I can't make that decision.
Oh.
If you're not happy playing football, don't play football. I'm pretty sure I said that.
I honestly don't remember. I do know that I made the right decision because I just wasn't physically ready. I wasn't mentally ready, and I just needed to step away. And when I got to Idaho, I had hit a growth spurt. I'd lost some weight, and I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And football wasn't all punitive. I mean, the first couple of years, I felt like it was unstructured. We only won one game out of 2 seasons, and great attitudes and great, but at the same time, it's like, for the first 2 years I played football, the last game of the second year is what we win. Oh, so a lot of
that's a lot of learning.
So, and then the next year we won our first game and didn't win another, or then we won a second game later, but the mentality had changed because the coach brought in a tougher mindset.
Yeah,
but then there was more intensity to it, and so it wasn't like that team in Montana that was really negative and punitive, but there were those moments where it's like, it did get punitive, and it was unnecessary. Yeah. Where it's okay to be frustrated, and you want a team to be good. And it was a great coach, Simons. You were fabulous. You were quite an.
You talked about him a lot. You were very fond of him. He was a good.
I knew that he was bringing the mentality, and they've won state since just last year. So with on the team, a son of somebody I graduated with.
Wow.
So
God,
crazy. I know.
Stop it, you stupid clocks.
But his dad couldn't play football because he had some knee issues. So I was happy for him that he was able to do that. Anyway, so kind of crazy stuff that goes with that. But part of to bring it back to where we started this conversation was with don't skip leg day.
Well, it is my fitness journey, what I weigh, and I haven't talked about my weight. You haven't talked about your weight, but what I weigh and how I'm feeling, my fitness is a journey to September.
Right.
Every year it is a journey to September, and the closer we get, the more careful I am with every step I take, and with every lift I do at the gym.
And before we segue too far away from what we were talking about, so I'll bring it back to this last weekend. A little bit of exercise I did get because I'm sadly just not as active, and I had a moment. I haven't quite figured out where I need to force this into my routine. We're
going to be bike riding real soon. Just 2 more weeks, and you'll be bike riding every day.
But okay. My middle child, Bram, wanted to go have a day at the junior high with his buddies. He brings his soccer ball, he brings his football, he brings his skateboard, basketball. I mean, he just brings all this stuff. And so I drop him off. We're waiting for his buddy. His buddy's not showing. I'm like, well, if he doesn't show, buddy, we'll just go out there. Just you. Yeah. We'll just have some fun. So finally he's like, all right, Dad, maybe, because it was kind of cold. So we were just waiting. So eventually he's like, yeah, maybe Dad, let's just go out there and have some fun. So we get out and his friend shows up. And I go, my heart sinks because he actually wants to have a day with his friend without his parents.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I have to go. So I get in the car and I leave, but I'm kind of disappointed. I run some errands and I do some things, and eventually it's time to go pick him up, and I go to pick him up, and I actually have Zandrick with me at that time, my youngest 7-year-old, and he's out there with his buddy still kicking around and still throwing stuff, and I just park. I'm out of the car, and so I joined in the activities, and I had to. So we ran around for another 30 minutes, and I'm kicking the football and throwing things. I've got a sore bicep from launching that thing, trying to remind myself, because I used to be able to throw a full-size football 70 yards.
Yeah, I remember, dude. You could just straight up John Elway tattoo people with that thing.
Yeah.
That was a rifle. That was nuts.
I was always disappointed I didn't have the athletic agility naturally to just, because I think I could have tore it up.
You could have, but you would have had a data set from 4th grade. Not from high school. You need years and years and years and years of understanding a game like that before you're at your peak athletic prowess.
They did write a play. Simon saw my arm, and he wrote a play for me. I've got a great picture from high school of me throwing the bomb. I can't remember what we called it, but it was just like, if we need to throw it deep, it's Chambers, because I could throw it deep.
Yeah.
So I have one one drop ball and an interception. So anyway, that was my.
Dang it!
I know. It was against who was it? It was the Bancroft Cowboys. We call them the Bancroft, Idaho is over by Pocatello, but that's not what we call them. They were something else, something county. Anyway, Bancroft is the city, but it was, I can't remember the name. Their team. Anyway,
my football memories are some of the most fondest memories. I mean, they're just under all my hunting memories, and fishing memories.
And I would say
so good.
Mine as well. I mean, I had 4 years of it.
Yeah.
And then I had some amazing experiences towards the end where, I don't know.
You played basketball too. Did you play all 4 years?
I hated basketball. No, I stopped because of the coach when I was a freshman.
Oh.
I mean, talk about punitive. I had zero athletic ability, zero knowledge, zero insight. My development cognitively just wasn't there to understand things.
Yeah, we didn't grow up with sports.
And so during a drill, when he was trying to demonstrate technique, I couldn't get it figured out. And he got pissed. Oh. And he decided to make an example of me in front of the entire team. Yelling at me, spitting on my back, grabbing my arms, and making me hit his chest. This is how you do it. And he's screaming and yelling. I was done.
Yeah.
I've been through that kind of crap before. You heard my precedents already in this podcast.
Yeah, I don't respond well to that kind of stuff.
I've always held a very negative appraisal of this individual who eventually became the coach and eventually did get a basketball title with them. But I just disagree with that kind of mentality. You don't, that completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree.
So I waited till I was a sophomore or a junior because I knew that he wasn't the coach.
But some people respond well to that.
Yeah.
And some people don't respond well to other ways of coaching.
Yeah. And this particular coach got in trouble because of those kinds of tactics. At one point, I talked to him about it. I don't want to be disrespectful to the gentleman because I hope he's learned from those experiences. And after he got in trouble for it is when he won the title. So I hope that's a reflection of him taking a step back and learning that maybe some of the things he was doing did need to be reined in. I thought he was a great guy, and he'd take the shirt off his back for you in certain situations, would give me rides home. But at the same time, when it came to that, it was just taken a little too seriously and not taking the time to really understand, though I have the height, I don't have the skill. Yeah. And you can't force that suddenly.
Yeah.
And so I knew that as a freshman in high school, so I stepped away. And people, why are you stepping away? Well, I don't really want to tell you because it's a small community, but the reality was that was why. And I played as a junior senior because I didn't have to deal with him as the head coach. That was the reality. I got back on the team because small numbers and I had the height, but I didn't have the skill. But you know what? They're like, come sit on the team with it. I'm like, great.
Yes. It's
I just, so.
Yeah. I played church ball. I would play pickup. I like sports. I like being active, but I got into track because I was in foster care. My foster parents go, if you're going to be here, you're going to go to track. I had no idea I had any athletic ability at all.
No, that's where I wish I could have had a coach, because I didn't have a coach for shot put or discus, and I had to figure that out on my own. And I figured it out right at the end, where I started to throw farther and understand things, particularly discus.
Yeah.
And if my second to last track meet, I threw 117 feet because I finally figured out the technique to throw one.
Yeah.
The week prior.
Wow.
The week prior to that track meet, I figured out I had been throwing it wrong just on my own, just by going out and just kind of throwing it around.
Yeah.
And I accidentally threw it wrong, or correctly, actually.
Yeah.
And 117 feet. I got 7th place.
Wow.
And it was districts is what they call it, the districts versus regionals. Anyway, I was like, man, if I could have had that figured out prior to that, I could have been in top notch, because I think the winner that round had 135 feet. So I came so close, but I had only been throwing 80 feet the wrong way prior to that. So you think about the jump, you think about the technique, and having the right people to coach it. Like, crazy stuff. But the whole point of why I brought up my son going to the school was to give note to, like, don't skip leg day, because I've been reminded every day since. My biceps sore, and my legs are sore. But what's interesting about it is I know I'm aging, and right now my body's telling me that I need to figure out this routine, because the physical activity and exercise is important, but I can't wait for September's to come around to get it.
No.
And
I've made that mistake years.
And this kind of pain that I have over the weekend since last Saturday has been like an aha moment, even though I knew it, but it's reminding me to stay, to try to keep that in my mind. So I'm glad that we have these conversations pretty much on a weekly basis, because now that I've had that moment and we have this conversation, hopefully I continue to challenge myself, like, where can I do it? And if it's just walking around campus or doing this or that, finding moments to stay active, because it also translated into more energy.
It does.
I mean, I sat around on Sunday a little bit, but Monday came around and I was doing this and that all around my house, got all these different things done and all week at school. Even though I'm sitting down a lot, I'm moving from classes and I walk around when I instruct. I don't sit, but I'm always doing something. My motivation has changed. My directives have directives. That was the right word. My motivation to just stay.
I am a robot.
Stay busy. And prior to this last week, and I think the biggest factor is the exercise. Yeah. Prior to this week, I'll get in a funk where I'll just sit there and I'm like, my mind wanders and I feel unmotivated to do the job that I've been hired to do. And I was a little unmotivated today, but we had a situation in Twin Falls that kind of was still swirling around for me, but it's in the past now. And I got on track and I still got stuff done, but it really disrupted the process a little bit. But exercise is healthy, not just to do elk hunting is the point. No. So it keeps your motivation to do a whole bunch of things. Yeah. So anyway, on that note, that's brings us back to this weigh-in situation.
Yeah. Possibly. So where are you at?
I have found a set point at the same place that I was 2 weeks ago when we last did our podcast. It's almost identical weight that I weighed in this morning. It's been fluctuating around that. So I've got to increase again. I've got to figure out where to get down from this threshold. Yeah. So 259 is not where I want it to be, but it's where I'm currently at. And I still have time to reach my goal. I'm about 20 pounds off. Yeah. But I've still got to work on that motivation of it's portion control. I got real snacky on.
Man, when the floodgates open, it's hard to shut them.
Well, and it wasn't yesterday. It was the Tuesday night. I got real snacky, and I'm just like, "Give me food!" And I'm just like, and I didn't go overboard, but I still was eating more than I normally been doing. And so I've got and I don't know if that was also related to the exercise routine. And my body's like, hey, by the way, eat some food. But
I noticed because I've been losing weight and gaining weight, very intensely for a long time. And I noticed that changes in the weather, just when it's a little bit colder, man, my body's just like, hey, eat something, son.
And I wonder if that might have been it. Then. Yeah. I don't know.
So I've noticed that. That's anecdotal. I don't know how reliable
full moon
that
or
is.
Something.
Yeah. Well, I weighed in at 258.
Wow.
So I'm up. I was up actually. I would be 4 pounds.
Okay.
I had 10 beers that week. So I bought a 12-pack. I gave you one, and I left one in my fridge. I had it last night, actually. Okay. So I've slowed down this week. I've been really good this week, haven't been carbon up. Right. I've just been kind of eating regular because 4 pounds in 1 week after 6 weeks of scorched earth, that's a lot of water. That's going to be just a lot of junk. So I know if I get back to it and kind of clean up, I'll weigh in again this Monday. Again, my intention is to stay around 250 until I get back from my trip in Mexico, which is around mid-March, and then go scorched earth again until probably May.
I'd like to find a new set point below 255 soon. That's my next marker. I actually got down to 257 at one point, and then it jumped up. It ranged up to 264 in the last 2 weeks, and so it fluctuates. And I knew that, and I can pinpoint those habits. But that's what I'm focused on. Is like, well, here's the weight goal that I have in the last week in terms of the goal that I was trying to reach. What were my eating habits, and where can I figure out? So like, I got to figure out how to get over these munchies when they show up.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough one. That's the tough one.
Because we buy beer too, but we're very strategic over the weekend. And I even ate and drank less over the weekend. Yeah. But I blame the munchies on Tuesday.
Teams of guys with PhDs in psychology have been learning how to sell you products.
Yeah.
And teams of guys with PhDs in chemistry have been learning to make products to make you super addicted to them, and it make you, that your dopamine spikes and then falls off a cliff, and you want it again and again and again. And I like all those dopamine boosts. I think they're great.
What made a millionaire out of Mr. Frito-Lay?
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But
when it comes to elk season, being a little bit thinner around the belly is going to help everybody. It's going to help everybody. I need to check in with Jared. Speaking around the belly, how's that boy doing? Did he get his truck out of the snow yet?
Get a case of Banquet and hold down the fort.
I know. I need to go see him. I told him we were going to hunt wolves together, and this hasn't materialized yet this winter. But I think he's still in trouble. For getting his truck stuck in the mountains.
Oh, that's right.
It might still be there. I don't know. He said we might have to get it out in spring.
I've watched some off-road recovery guys. Yeah. Hit them up. Say, hey, come make a unique video in Montana.
Yeah.
Come up here.
If I could take a couple days off, I would have flown up there, Betty. Let's go. Let's get a bobcat and just clear a path when the snow's done. And anyway, that's what I've done. But when it comes to talking about exercise, and when I tell people, I backpacked in 5 miles on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. I knew I killed an elk 5 miles in. I knew that was going to be a lot of work. I didn't know it was going to take as long as it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I really learned a lot. But when I think about the challenges I've had athletically in football and what I like about those athletic challenges, that's what I liked about the athletic challenge of packing an elk out. Now, backpacking in, just the act of hunting is a challenge in and of itself. And so I always want to be ready for that. But I was really, I know it sounds crazy. As much as I look forward to being hit in football, and I look forward to being tired and beat up after a good workout, I looked forward to packing out an elk and just having it almost kill me. I really looked forward to it. I was so excited about it, and I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad it happened. I'm glad I got to do that work.
Yeah.
And I told guys at the gym, even if you had reins in hand at the trailhead, I'll come get you. I'm like, man, I don't know. I worked so hard for this. This is what I wanted to do.
It's a personal achievement.
It really is. It really is. Will I do it again? I don't know if I need to go so far in. It was a long ways. Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh, we're going still.
I think I just went into sleep mode.
Oh, okay.
It was 30 minutes and I just haven't touched it. So
okay.
Last one of the first times that happened, I accidentally stopped the recording and everything. I saw it. So what's funny is I was reacting to my phone because I'm like, why did my phone stop recording? And then I saw in the phone that it had gone black. I was like, oh, it was behind me.
So anyways, it's a very big physical challenge, and I know I talked about Rich Froning, who is winner of the CrossFit Games. He actually announced the workout today for the CrossFit Games, and he said packing an elk out was one of the hardest 5 things he's ever done in his life, and it was hard. I'm still I'm still recovering.
Yeah.
My body is still recovering from that. My knee.
When
and my
I
hip.
was hiking up where we hunt, I was by myself, I think in year 2, and I had come across a hunter who was coming down the morning ridge, and he was when we talked, he'd been hunting that area for a long time, so he was like, I think from Arco or something like that. And I kind of told him, I was like, yeah, I'm up here, just kind of do my thing, you know. I kind of disclosed that I've never actually harvested, and he goes, first fur, huh? And he gets this smirk. And I go, first fur? He goes, when you get it down, you'll know what I mean. And he's talking about hauling out an animal.
Oh, really?
Is what? And can you explain that? I don't mean to be such a naive thing. So he just like, yeah. Oh, trust me. When you get it down, if you get one down, you're gonna know. First fur, it's always your worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least in some cases, your first fur was actually kind of a small thing, but this bull, was no joke.
The bull was very big and heavy. I'm glad Reggie and Jared were there to help me. They just showed up, little angels out there. Never seen him before, haven't seen him since. But saw him for 6 hours one day.
Yeah,
and we're best friends now. But
you know how it is.
But yeah, that is how it is. But yeah, it was the first one. The first one was really good practice, though. A really good idea of what you might, because I packed the entire elk out in one trip.
Yeah.
And it still had fur on it.
Yeah.
It still had bones in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't even have the sacks. I didn't have the bags. So yeah, I left the fur on. I had to leave it up in a tree overnight. Anyway. Good times elk hunting.
I'm looking for, I was so motivated on our last hunt last year, despite the fact that I lost motivation and we didn't chase that thing up on the hillside that you have a beautiful video of. But it did teach me something, that to mentally prepare myself to just get out, get early. That's always what I've said. And I've done that haphazardly, but it just really reinforced it last
really
year.
Sank
just
in.
It was right there. And the setup that we'll have, that will be so much better. Because I think in my mind, if we have a similar scenario where they're up the hill like that, I need to go across that meadow.
We've seen them before.
You should have been where I was at, and I should have been across.
Oh yeah, there's 1,000 different things we could have done different. I know.
But in order to get there, I can't skip leg day.
Can we talk about some Elk 101 content that was on YouTube?
Yeah, Elk 101.
Because
I've entered in for the drawing because I bought this T-shirt.
You bought it? I thought you won that.
No, I bought this to enter the contest.
Oh.
I was
okay.
I could win.
Oh, I got you.
And I guess they get some promotion to whoever listens. The one person, probably be one of us. Anyway, you win from Peaks Equipment out of Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah.
Everything they've made. And anything they're going to make as long as they're in business.
That'd be a handful of stuff, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want some of this gear.
Yeah.
So on top of that,
I think Peaks makes a freeze dried meal pouches.
It's possible. I
believe they
Corey
do.
Jacobson eating a freeze dried package in one of these last videos, and I was like,
Yeah, and so I think they do. And I talk a lot of crap about freeze dried meal pouches. To be fair, I've never had a Peaks.
Yeah, I've never had it.
I've never had a Peaks, and if it's good, I am so sorry. I will have one, and if it's good, I will tell you. Yeah. But I've never had one.
Neither have I.
And I'm so turned off by the idea of freeze-dried meal pouches that I just don't.
Unless it's ramen noodle or something. We've carried ramen noodle up there, but even then it's not that. I still don't want to carry that because it's just like
I mean, it's good calories, but it just takes up too much space. I think we brought that when it's colder. And we want a hot meal, a really quick hot meal.
Well, there is something freeze dried that we willingly take with us. What is it? What in the heck is it? Seems like there's something that we have that is freeze dried.
Well, potatoes.
Yeah, the potatoes.
Yeah,
that's the one exception.
Yeah,
the potatoes.
Yeah, but it's and freeze dried vegetables may be okay, but freeze dried meat and freeze dried fat that are in some of those meals are really hard to get around. Really hard to get around. So I just bring my own meat.
Yeah.
And liquid
my own
fat. A little extra fat. And I bring cheese and I have a whole thing The day before I shot my elk, I recorded a 20-minute video of me making potatoes, meat and potatoes in a Ziploc bag. And just how I always make them. Yeah. And I'm even running the timer. I'm looking at the timer. I'm going, we're at 12 minutes now. Let's see. And I'm shoveling. Yeah. I'm already halfway done. I go, if you have a freeze-dried meal pouch, you're just in there peeking at it right now. You're just hoping not to see any creepy water at the bottom, but there is.
Yeah.
There is. You're going to zip it up most of the way and try and pour it out because you don't want to eat that. That's gross.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I'm shoveling potatoes, meat and potatoes in my face. Yeah. And you're just peeking in there. Anyway, so that was me talking about freeze-dried meal pouches. And I still have that video, and I thought, I got to do something with this.
But you want to talk about elk
101
content.
Yes, so, I'm sorry.
But no, it seemed like that was a good place to segue us back.
It was. Tangents, the Elk 101 content. The last episode they put out was an hour long.
Yeah.
I've only watched 30 minutes of that.
Yeah, I've watched the whole thing.
I'm not 100% caught up. Don't worry about any spoiler alerts. It's been a very interesting season.
Yeah.
I do wish they provided a little bit more information. The time of day. I like when they say the time of month.
Yeah.
I like it when they say time of day. I like it when they have subtitles. They're hunting elk.
Yeah.
They're whispering to each other. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't, and you hit the closed caption, then you hit the closed caption, you see it, and then they have their own subtitles over it, and you're like, well, I can't read either one now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I like subtitles for any hunting.
Yeah.
Right. If you're out there whispering, I take our volume and I boost it so that we can at least hear it. And I guess I'll have to pay more attention.
If you need me to boost volume before I render, let me know, because I just.
Oh yeah, I can. I boosted at home.
So, all right,
but yeah, it's not that big a deal. But I did come across a great video of Corey Jacobson talking about how you, the elk hunter, don't need to be taking a nap in the afternoon. There is plenty of time to be hunting. You should be hunting. It's hunting time. Why are people taking naps? What is it with the naps? Right? Yeah, you know where this is going.
Yeah,
they did a lot of napping.
They did a lot of napping. Yeah, but I also am guilty of that very crime.
Yeah,
because for that last 8-9 years, I've been like, I don't need to nap during the middle of the day, and you're napping. I'm like, I should have just gone off and hunted, because I've had great experiences up in our zone during the middle of the day. But at the same time, there's times for naps. I've just come around to, like, sometimes I want to hunt, sometimes I want to nap. Last year, our last day up there, it was a great day, but we had a nap.
We got up really, really early.
Yeah.
And I tell myself, and I have to tell myself, I have to give myself that reward. Listen, I know it's early. Okay, I know it's early, buddy. You got to get out of bed. You can take a nap later. Trust me, you're going to take a nap later. Here's what you're going to do when you take a nap later. This is a conversation I have with myself.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pack some food. We're going to have some cheesy quesadillas. We're going to have a couple granola bars. Mm-hmm. We're going to have some cheese and crackers, and you are going to be sitting fat and happy on the side of the hill. And it's going to be sunny. It's going to be warm.
Sure.
And you're going to go ahead and just stuff your belly so full and take a nice big fat nap. And I tell myself that. That's one of the ways I get out of bed.
Yeah.
is knowing that that's coming.
I think that the napping can be a useful strategy under a certain circumstance. If you happen to find yourself amongst several hunters in the field, lots of folks at the trailhead, and you might even see them hiking off on other... I've seen hunters hiking on a distance. I think I've been with you and we've seen that. That is probably a good time to hunt in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Because they're moving stuff around in the morning. More hunters move stuff around in the morning. The elk might be a little bit more active in the middle of the day. Yeah. But those hunters, it's a common theme for many, many hunters. They go back to their cars or camps
to nap.
To nap.
To nap and lunch. Yeah, that I am against. If I'm up there, I'm up there.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not coming down until it's dark.
And so I've watched people hiking out.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back. And so
that's a lot of extra work, I think.
Yeah, I do too. And so I think that's a great opportunity. So I actually had that experience early on up there where we hunt, where I ran into hunters in the morning, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go back to camp and take a nap. And they were griping about how Forest Service was sending too many people to this area. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
They go, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm going to go hunting. That was my first time going to the backyard when I got on that big 5-point in the cow.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and then my feet hurt the rest of my life because I hiked out the wrong way and the shoes I had were horrible. But every time we go up, I'll tell you that story. I'm like, right here, I just wanted to end. Oh my gosh. And it was like, I could have cut and traversed, but I didn't know the area very well. So I chose the roads.
Yeah.
And that was the longest, worst scenario of my life. And I was like, somebody will drive by. There's a lot of people up here.
Yeah.
I will ask for a ride. Not one vehicle.
Wow.
And I just was like, and so by the time, unfortunately, that hunt did go short because by the time I got back to camp,
It was done.
my feet were done.
Yeah.
And so were those shoes. And I've moved on to much better footwear. And that was a good lesson
Yeah.
on get the right footwear.
The right footwear has made a world of difference. I've had good boots and bad boots, and I need some new boots, but boots make a world of difference. Another thing I noticed about this episode of Elk 101,
Yeah, I get,
Destination Elk.
Destination Elk.
Yeah.
Destination Elk 101.
Man, it looked familiar.
I was wondering if you were going to say that.
Oh my gosh! I
they're-
knew you would see it. If you watch it. You would see. It's like I've been there.
Where Corey and Donnie were.
yeah,
I was
Corey
like,
and Donnie.
there was a couple shots, and I was like,
I'm like, are they those guys? That's some prime Idaho elk habitat.
yeah.
Looks
So
really good.
I sat back. I almost texted you. Actually, I almost texted you. I was like, I think they're in our zone, but
Right.
but
Right.
there were other shots where I'm like, maybe not, but it looked it. I mean, we're in Idaho, obviously, but it just was. It was also kind of cool. It wasn't that. It wasn't really competitive. It was more like, that's cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, it's so cool.
I long to see that area. So if I can see it in somebody else's video, yeah.
And when I see those guys so high on the mountain,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you need to be really, really high on the mountain. The elk are all over the mountain. They don't care where the roads or the creeks are, for the most part.
And they don't care how tired you are.
Yeah, they really don't care. And so there was one more thing. There was one more note I had from the Destination Elk, because they had it was the guy's familiarity. I don't think it was Skousen. It was Pure Elevation, Team Pure Elevation.
Okay.
Those guys were like, hey, we're chasing this bull. I think he's down here. The wind is swirling. It's being weird, but I know the area so this is not their first time to the area.
Right.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys go out there the first time, think you're going to get to know an area. It takes years to get to know an area.
12 years into an area, I still haven't
takes a
harvested
lot.
it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. So when guys come out, even all the studying you do on Google Earth, and I do a lot.
Yeah,
I spend a lot of time.
And even
on
then,
Google
you
Earth.
can spend a lot of time someplace, and it will take years to stumble across the best way in and out of it. Like where we went on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah,
How
how we came out.
We
way.
We went in and came.
how we came out down from the candy cane. Down from the cross.
Oh, and that too. Yeah.
all of us. I mean, that was the first time this year.
We kind of took a gamble because it was getting dark, and we're like, well, I was kind of like, I don't want to go down this ravine, but I'm going to go down this ravine.
Yeah.
And it ended up being one of the smartest choices I ever made because it was one of the easiest ways out. There was one spot that was a little bit tricky, but other than that, it was like
it was a dream hike out. It was a dream hike out.
for the first night because we had to get in and we had to get up there fast, and then it's like we want to get home fast, or back to camp fast, so we can sleep and get up early because we knew what our battle plan was, and so. But when you know it too, again, to piggyback off the message you're saying is know your area.
These guys know their area really well.
We ran into other hunters that were like, we're going up this particular draw, and we're like, we don't want to impede. We know the area enough. We're gonna go on this other side, and we're totally cool. And the look of relief on their faces was,
and we were totally cool. 100%. Yeah, go
and
ahead.
we saw an elk, and we pursued it, but we didn't see it after we spotted it.
Yeah.
But it was still, we saw an elk that we could pursue. So that's what knowing your area does for you.
So those are my takeaways from Elk 101, from Destination Elk. I did watch some other content. There's a guy. I think I have the picture. If we want to segue into the news stories or the conservation stories, there was a picture. His name is Tim. It's like black wolf wolf hunt with a bow.
Before we segue too quick, I just one last thing on the Elk 101 stuff.
Yeah.
Because I clearly trying my luck at winning.
Yeah.
And so you can win possibly by commenting on every one of their videos. So they're
Right.
going to choose comments or whatever.
Oh, that's right. What was your comment?
So I've made several comments. I've had a few of them liked, and I even tried to get fished at one point because there's bad actors out there that are like, hey, you've won a prize, even though they haven't given it out. So they actually have on their comments for Elk 101, they have a comment. The first comment is from them that says, hey, remember, this is how we're doing this prize giveaway. You comment here, but it's not going to be till the end that we'll announce.
Okay.
And so I'm making comments each time, but I'm really watching and commenting on something, commenting on the content in a way that, hopefully is thoughtful. Cause like the comment that got a couple likes, I guess a couple weeks ago was, or last week was that, the guys in Oregon are bugling with this beast of a bull somewhere.
Yeah.
And before they can finish their own bugle, they're getting cut off.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, the comment last week was, hey, it's a pretty darn good sign when whatever you're bugling at is pretty much cutting you off. Typically equals, or that kind of system, or too much of a delay typically means human.
Yeah.
When it's that fast, typically equals elk. And so it was just a comment along those lines. People were like, yeah, I like that. But last night I made a comment, or Tuesday night I made a comment because there was a particular sound made by this bull. Again, it's the guys in Oregon. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like I've heard these noises before and I've wondered what they were, but this bull in Oregon that they're chasing after sounded at one point like not elk.
Yeah.
And so
did I miss that? Was that in the second half of this video?
It was, well, I don't remember where it was in the video, but
because I remember hearing a sound.
I think it's the second half of the video.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's this noise that it makes, and I'm just like, dear goodness, right? So my comment is hearing that elk bugle in Oregon makes me realize why people will believe they have heard a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Because it did not sound like an
Yeah.
elk, and it sounded so guttural. But even though he got to the elk noises, eventually it started off in a way that it's like, whatever that is sounds like it wants to kill me.
Yeah.
And so I get why people. So I never
Yeah.
got anybody to like that, but at the same time, not everybody's really hearing it that way because they're stuck on the elk. But I once woke up in the middle of the night, thought I heard a bear, but I've come to learn that was an elk. It was an elk just grunting.
Yeah.
I was hearing. I'd wake up, so it was kind of funny. I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up every 20, 30 minutes. It was a real rough night because I was just so excited to be there. I'm just in my little tiny dome tent on the side of at the trailhead. But I'm hearing an elk all through the night. I wake up and I hear an elk bugle. Wake up, hear an elk bugle. And so I fall back asleep. And I'm like, okay, the elk are up here. I wake up, hear an elk bugle. And then one time I woke up and I just hear this.
Oh.
And I'm by myself in my tent. And I'm like, so for the longest time, I'm thinking that was an elk. Or I didn't think that was an elk.
Right.
But then I heard that noise from a confirmed elk that I had seen, and it went to the stand of trees and it was making that noise.
Wow.
But it wasn't making any of the other elk noises.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, whoa.
Yeah, we've had some really different elk sounds in the past year on the podcast.
Yeah.
That we've talked about.
And that was one of them.
And yeah, that's really neat.
So anyway, but that elk in Oregon, go listen to the sounds it makes.
Okay.
And listen to all the sounds all the elk make in all of these videos, because ultimately you need to have a data set of that variety.
Yeah.
So it's not confusing to you. You have it figured out. All right. So which one are we starting with?
Yeah, because they don't have the elk bugles in subtitles.
Right.
you have to listen to them. So I got to turn my volume up.
So you wanted to segue from that. So I apologize for.
No,
making
that's
that
okay.
last
We
longer.
were oh shoot, sorry. Talking about wolves, and I'll be able to get it. It's okay.
No, I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't like seeing the red. That tells us we clicked.
Oh.
So I just get rid of it
Okay.
because it bugs me. I don't like to see it. I want it to go away.
It's all right.
Mouse.
We all have sensory issues.
Anyway, so which one were you asking about?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It was Tim. It was Tim Wells.
Tim Wells related to
black wolf hunt. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Black Wolf Tim Wells Bow Hunt.
Tim Wells bow hunt. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure to give him credit. It was really good. He had hunted wolves before. He had killed wolves before with a bow, and he wanted to kill a black wolf. and he found some and he set up on them, and he does a lot of archery stuff. He does spear stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really cool spear stuff and blowgun stuff. So yeah, Tim Wells is a neat resource on YouTube, and I will continue to watch some of his stuff. So I just wanted to say I just watched it. I liked it. It was cool.
Lethally sharp projectiles. Since I realized we're almost at the end of our hour, so to speak, so we'll just kind of rapid fire and we'll expand as necessary.
Yeah.
Lethally sharp projectiles points found along the banks of the river of southwest Idaho, dated 16,000 years old.
Yep.
Oldest evidence of first tool technology brought to Americas.
Yeah. So that's it. The oldest evidence of tool making brought to America is in Idaho for the time being.
I need to have a conversation with our anthropologist.
Yeah.
She is always active in this stuff.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, I would like any input.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
I ask her questions all the time. I asked her about the psychology, evolution of human beings. So the current physiological framing that we have evolved to be we're about 600,000 years old in the bodies we have.
Yeah.
It's been a long time that we've been this
version
of ourselves, which is cool.
Ever since fire. Well, kind of ever since fire, because I read a book called Catching Fire.
Oh, I think you've told me about this.
And yeah, it was the energy we were able to extract from cooked food. We didn't need the gigantic muscles in our head. And so we evolved those muscles down, and it gave our cranium room to expand and have a much bigger brain.
Nice.
Anyway,
hey,
cooking.
A 600-pound grizzly.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about me in this instance.
Okay.
Because I would fight over my food. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And a grizzly would lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm hungry enough.
But fighting over a deer carcass captured in British tourists by a British tourist in the Rocky Mountains of Montana.
Yeah.
Man, if that's a real image, like, geez Louise.
Yeah. You worry. You look at the source. You always cite the source. What's it say?
Tiger True King.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking that's a setup in a museum somewhere.
Yeah, it might be. It might be Photoshopped. They're doing pretty good with stuff. But I did watch a video on YouTube of an elk defending his moose carcass from a pack of wolves successfully.
Okay.
So that was fun to watch. Now you will see videos of wolves chasing grizzly bears, and the grizzly bears will run if they're full.
Sure.
But if they're not, the risk of starving is better than the risk of a bite.
Yeah.
And so they run that equation different.
This is kind of interesting. A Montana man captures extremely rare footage of a wolverine hunting a deer.
Yeah. Cool. A wolverine sighting.
Yeah.
So I know that I said, well, wolverines, when nobody ever sees them ever. And we do see them in the lower 48. We have seen them in Idaho. And it's just neat that they're in the news.
Yeah. There've been a lot in the last. It seems like we've been able to find those more recently, more frequently. KMVT Chief Meter. Okay, so elk. Sorry, elk 5 miles north of Shoshone, on both sides of Highway 75, which is very busy highway. So some of my earliest memories of driving this right out of high school, other than in high school we traveled up there for sports, but I'm done with that conversation. I had a job up there, and I had roommates, and we would drive up there, and we worked at the animal shelter of the Wood River Valley. The three of us would drive up there on the days that we shared the day. So they would work the first 3 days, and then we'd all work on a Wednesday, and then I'd work with a different crew through the weekend.
Yeah.
And so on Wednesdays, we'd drive up there, and I worked there during the hunting season.
Oh, wow.
So there were
rifle hunting season?
Rifle hunting season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So deer all over the place on Highway 75 when you get to a certain spot.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it would be like to have this many elk hovering around this busy road that's only gotten busier since 1999 when I made that trek. It's a busy road.
It's busy and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody who just can afford to get out of jail free. Who just can afford to pay whatever ticket they get.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's a lot of that. And you just see like, oh, they don't care. They don't care if they get points. They don't care if they get a ticket. They don't care if they have to pay more insurance. They don't care.
Yeah, it's nuts. I would drive from Jerome, Idaho to Haley for 4 days a week.
Oh.
In Trixie.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started.
So Trixie was a Toyota Tercel that Harold gifted me when I graduated high school. Anyway, different podcast time for that story. But no, and I remember going up there looking at all the tail lights, and I remember driving home looking at all the tail lights. It was in the dark both ways. It seemed like it sucked. Really sucked.
Yeah.
Colorado Parks Wildlife collaring a wolf. 2101 was fitted with a collar.
We just talked about them collaring wolves in Colorado, and this is just another story.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody we're going to be talking about wolves in Colorado. We're going to be talking about wolves in Colorado for 15 years at least.
And something else to just kind of watch as it continues to unfold, other than all of the ongoing things we're watching. We aren't even going to get back to the water. We kind of mentioned that the water table. We'll update that as we need to. But the wolf situation in Colorado is something we're watching. But this bird flu. So it was something I mentioned in the intro.
Yeah.
So the bird flu outbreak is not just hitting birds. It's hitting flocks across the country, but it's also reaching out and getting other mammals, or other animals like mammals, bears, mountain lions. And so there was a list, like there's been a couple black bear they found, a bottlenose dolphin, Kodiak bear.
With bird flu?
Dying of the bird flu.
Wow. Dying of bird flu.
Yeah. Here's the current number of the 16 non-bird species that have contracted avian flu since March. I guess contract doesn't say dead. But some of them are found dead, and that's how they know. So that's I don't mean to assume that they're dead, but
okay.
57 red foxes have been found.
Wow.
16 harbor seals were found dead with bird flu. Wow. I know that one was a death. And then there was a couple of what are they? Where is it? Gray seal. There was a gray seal they found dead.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's just something that. And I was actually talking with the biologist at lunch today about this, and we didn't have time to really get into it. But they're like, "Oh, this is always happening," and I wanted to ask more questions. Like, tell me what you mean by that, because it's just seems like I've never seen the list of other mammals. I mean, I get bird flu, but but I get that there'd be cross species. But anyway, we didn't have time to go into it. But
I'm sure I'm sure that'd be a great topic too. Anyway, that sounds like something. I'd want to be in on that conversation. Yeah. Microbiology was one of my favorites. Yeah. And I've read, I don't know, a dozen books on different microbiology, dumb stuff, dumb nerdy stuff.
But that was it. That's the headlines.
All right, very cool. Well, see you next week.
Yeah, next week.
We're less than 180 days, less than 6 months away from elk season.
Crazy.
I know. I'm already planning my meals. I'm already thinking about cheese and crackers. I was thinking about cheese and crackers today because of how much sodium I lose. I don't eat cheese and crackers at home.
Huh.
I don't eat Spam at home.
Okay.
But man, in the woods, I crave the cheese and crackers. It's fun. All right.
I
guess that's it. Have a great week, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.